Chris Johnston is our NHL insider for Sportsnet, and he joins us on the Jeff Blair Show. The Jets and Leafs tonight at the Air Canada Centre. We'll have the game on Sportsnet 590 The Fan. Hello, Mr. Johnston.
Good morning, Jeff.
So I know there's a tendency to make this all about Laine versus Matthews, and understandably, but I don't know. I understand these guys are going to be connected by virtue of where they were drafted, when they were drafted, and that. But it's going to be a kind of a different head-to-head rivalry, isn't it? Because unlike Sid and Novi, which is kind of the thing that I first think of, they're not going to be playing each other 6 times a year. They may meet each other internationally, but I don't know if that would even have the same tenor as Russia versus Canada, Sid versus Ovi. It seems that it has to be viewed in kind of a different way.
Well, it's certainly, I think, going to be a talking point. Probably not a lot more than that in the years to come. For some of the reasons you're mentioning there. But what I'll be interested to see is if there's any sort of, I guess, example of one of them caring a little bit about it. If they're going to want to put on some kind of performance when they play each other in these games. But you're right. I do think in hockey we just struggle in general to quantify these matchups because you're talking about a center and a winger and teams that don't really have any kind of built-in rivalry and won't see each other too much. But I think in both cases, really, both cities and both franchises are happy with the guy they've got. And that 2016 draft looks awfully good right now, considering we're here not yet in March, and these two guys both have 28 goals entering tonight's game. I mean, that's pretty heady stuff when you look historically, and the reality is both teams were probably winners last year in that draft lottery.
Who's leading in the Calder race? And let's throw Mitch Marner in there as well, obviously, although we don't know yet, I think, when Mitch Marner is going to be back. But I think we can throw Mitch Marner in there.
Matthews, to me, is ahead, but only by the smallest margins. I mean, one thing to consider is even though they're tied in goals entering the game, Patrik Laine missed 8 games last month with a concussion for Winnipeg, so he's scoring more per game. And, the reality is it's so close. And the best thing I can say is that we don't have to vote until just after the season ends. It's not one that has to be decided early because, I could see what happens in March and early April influencing the way this thing goes. I just think that there's a lot more responsibility heaped on a centerman than a winger, and at least this one of 100 voters' eyes, I put a little extra stock into, what Auston Matthews has been able to do, the way he's driven play, the amount of, he's seen his ice time increase, the production's there, the number of shots are there. I mean, really by any measurable metric, he's been a home run, and Patrik Laine has been in the same boat, and Mitch Marner, certainly with his production as well. So there's those 3 guys, and there's about 4 others around the league, whether it's the defensemen like Zach Werenski from Columbus that are being discussed in this. But I think Matthews is ahead by a nose at this stage of the race.
Yeah, and it seems as if you look at some of the underlying numbers, some of the analytics, you can make the case, and this is not, it's not to say that this is all on Auston Matthews, but you can make the case that the Leafs are a more improved team with Auston Matthews than the Jets are with Patrik Laine. I think you can make that case very clearly using a lot of analytics.
Oh, for sure. And
But that's also a reflection of where the teams were, isn't it?
It is. And the funny thing about this is the Jets didn't need a center the way the Leafs did. They have Mark Scheifele, who's having another spectacular season. And, if anything, they needed what they got in a scoring winger. And make no mistake about it. I mean, the Patrik Laine, I believe, will be the best pure goal scorer of this generation, the one to come. What he does is incredible. The way he scores, it doesn't all have to be around the net in the danger zones. He can beat a goalie clean with a wrist shot from above the top of the circles, which are just not very many guys can do. And, I think he's going to put up some ridiculous totals because he's still just 18 years old. He was a young birthday. And even we saw Steven Stamkos as an 18-year-old struggle. As a 19 and 20-year-old, he was, getting to 50 goals pretty quickly. And I think that that's certainly within reach for Patrik Laine. So, I don't want to be denigrating him at all, but, the Leafs absolutely needed a center that can tilt the ice, and that's exactly what Auston Matthews already is. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better year, I guess, other than maybe getting Connor McDavid the year before. But for them to finish last and win the lottery, and people in the city, I think, will be thanking their stars that Auston Matthews was the guy that ended up as a Maple Leaf, and I really believe he's the foundational, the number one piece that's going to turn this franchise around.